Okay, so to make these Pokemon Go cookies, we're going to start with just a basic cookie dough. So I'm just taking the flour and adding the baking powder as well as the salt, and then I'm just going to give this a good mix. I used a whisk for this, but you don't have to. You can just use a wooden spoon or just a spoon because either way works fine. And then once that's done, in a separate bowl, you're going to want to add your sugar and your butter together and just mix these together. You don't need to get these super light and fluffy, but just make sure that they're well incorporated. And then once those are well incorporated, you're going to want to take your vanilla extract and your eggs. You're going to use 2 eggs, but add them in one at a time, and then make sure that they're fully incorporated before you start adding the second egg. Now, for the full recipe, you can go to the description box down below. I'll also link to the website on which I got this recipe. Also, my flour, if you may notice in a little bit, it has little black specks in it. It's because I used a gluten-free flour for this recipe because I was giving this to some friends who can't eat gluten. So there are black specks within the different types of flour mixes in order to make everything work properly. But that's all okay. So next you're going to want to add your flour. I did it in 3 parts and just added it to my butter and egg and sugar mixture, mixing it through completely, and then adding in another third of the flour mixture, mixing it, and then the last third of the flour mixture, and mix it all together. This is a pretty soft dough, so if it gets sticky when you're working with it, just put it back into the fridge and make sure that it doesn't get too soft or else it will be too hard to work with. So once you have made your dough, you can start to knead it a little bit if you might need to on the counter. Try not to add too much extra flour because these are kind of a softer cookie. Once you have your cookie all done, you're going to want to divide it into 1/8, and then the leftover dough you're going to want to divide it to about 55%, 45%, or about half. To the 1/8 of the dough, you're going to want to add black food coloring. You don't need a lot because it's a pretty small portion of dough. Just add a little bit of black food coloring, mix it all the way through, and then you can wrap that up in plastic wrap and put that into the fridge. And then with the smaller part of dough, you're going to want to add that part red. Now, I had to use a little bit of extra flour here just because you needed a lot of red food coloring to make red, especially with such a large amount of dough. So this is the part that would be 45% of the remaining dough is dyeing red, and then the extra 55% we're going to leave white. And then you can wrap this up when you're done with it and put it in the fridge to rest as well. Once it's been in the fridge for about 30 minutes or so, you can take it out and you can roll it out. There's no exact measurement on how thin or thick it has to be. Just make sure that your cookie cutter can get through it. If it's too thick, you can roll it out again and then take out some more circles. I'm using a 1.5-inch circle cutter to cut these out, and I'm cutting these out of just the red dough. And just try and get as many circles as you can, because the more circles you get, the more cookies you get. So just try and make as much as you can, and then if you have extra scraps left over, you can roll them back up together and then roll them out and get a couple more circles out of it. But you don't have to go to the point where you're having really thin circles. Try and keep them all the same size if you can. Okay, once you're done with that, you can put the red circles into the fridge, and then you can pull them out when they get hard, and you can cut them in half. I estimated halfway, and then once I found a half circle that I thought was a pretty good half, I just cut the rest of them with that. And then you're going to take I used a bubble tea straw or a 1/4 inch cookie cutter, which I didn't have, so I used a bubble tea straw, and you're just going to cut out a circle from each of the middles. You want to cut about a 3/4 of a circle, not the full circle out of it, not half a circle, but 3/4 of a circle out of the middle of these, and then you want to just stack them all up together. And then I used the bubble tea straw just to help me, and then I pulled out the straw, and then I wrapped this in the saran wrap again and popped it into the fridge to cool for about 30 minutes, and then I did the exact same process with the extra white dough. So I had half white and half red. Then with the leftover white dough that I had, I just took, I rolled it out and I punched a lot of little circles with the bubble tea straw. It was very hard to get these out of there. I would recommend not using dough that is room temperature. So if your dough gets soft, I really recommend putting it in the fridge. It'll make this whole process a lot easier. But once you got all your little circles cut out, just line them up to make like a big snake, and then roll that up as well, and then you can pop that into the fridge and you're all good to go. So now this is my half of the white dough that I did. And I'm just wetting it a little bit with just some water. I'm not using an egg wash here just because this dough itself is quite soft, so it sticks together really well without an egg wash. And then I'm just going to take a really thinly, about 1/8 of an inch, rolled out of the black dough, and I'm going to put that over the top of where the flat edge of my half circles are, and making sure that I go all the way in using the saran wrap to help me get into the half circle that's there. And then I'm going to wet the inside of that circle, and then I'm going to put in the cool little snake of the white dots. And just make sure that they are all compact, as many as I can get in there, make sure that they fit the size well. And then I'm just going to take some more of an 1/8 of an inch rolled out black dough, and I'm going to cover up the white circles. I don't want to do a full another layer of black dough. I just want to cover up just the white part, and I want to wet everything, and then put on, here's the tricky part, put on the red half. Mine kind of fell apart because I kind of tried to flip them all at once. That was not a good idea, so I recommend gently pushing them together. And then once everything, you want to make sure everything is really well stuck together. Once everything is stuck together, you can wrap it up and put it into the fridge for another 30 minutes. Or until it's pretty hard. And then, when you're all done with that, you can bring it out of the fridge. You can wet the whole thing with water or egg wash. And then you want to roll it in black sanding sugar. Now, you can either buy black sanding sugar, or you can just dye normal sugar black with black food coloring. Either way works fine. Then you want to put that back in the fridge for about an hour, because you want this one to be really hard this time. And then you can cut in to the log, and these are called slice cookies, so you just slice them and then you put them on a cookie sheet. Look how cool that is. They look like little Pokeballs. I was so happy with the way that these turned out. Oh, I was so happy. So I cut 12 of them, and then I put them on a greased cookie sheet. And then I baked them at 350 degrees for about 10 to 13 minutes. And when you're done with that, you have awesome Pokeball cookies! If you enjoyed, please hit the like button and subscribe to Sabrina Bailey down below. And comment also what you want to see next, because I would love to make something else for you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!